If you're a man over 60 and you find yourself waking up several times a night just to rush to the bathroom, or worse, feeling that humiliating drip escape when you laugh, cough, or stand up, I need you to hear this. It's not just aging, it's not normal. In fact, one simple mistake in your daily diet could be silently irritating your prostate and bladder every single day, making your symptoms worse and stealing your confidence without you realizing it. I'm Dr. Mohit Khera, a board-certified urologist and professor of men's health with more than 30 years of experience treating men just like you. I've helped thousands of men reclaim control over their bodies and restore their confidence, not through surgery or endless pills, but by addressing what's really behind their leakage and sleepless nights. Here's the paradox most doctors never explain. The very foods you believe are harmless, even healthy, may be the ones quietly inflaming your prostate and overstimulating your bladder. And that's why, no matter how many medications you try, the leaks keep happening. But here's the good news. Once you stop eating one particular food that I'll reveal today, your bladder can finally calm down, your nights can become peaceful again, and your confidence can return, naturally, without dependency or fear. So stay with me, because in just a few moments, I'll reveal the one common food every man over 50 must avoid. The same hidden irritant that could be the real reason you're leaking urine. What I'm about to share could change your nights, your freedom, and your life. Before we begin, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell, so you never miss another men's health update designed to help you live stronger, longer, and with confidence. And if this message resonates with you, type 1 in the comments below. If it doesn't, type 0. Your feedback helps me create even better advice for you. Now, let's get straight into what's really happening inside your body. Because before we talk about what to stop eating, you need to understand the hidden truth behind urine leakage after 50. The real reason why your prostate and bladder lose control, and how simple habits can reverse it. 1. The hidden truth behind urine leakage after 50. When a man crosses 50, something begins to change quietly inside his body. It often starts with subtle signs: getting up once at night to urinate, then twice, then 3 or 4 times. Maybe a few drops slip out when you cough or bend over. At first, you brush it off. You tell yourself, it's normal. It's just age. But it isn't. It's your body sending you a message. A warning that your bladder and prostate are under stress, irritated, and inflamed by something you're doing every single day without realizing it. Over the years, I've seen hundreds of men walk into my office with the same story: frustration, embarrassment, and exhaustion. They've lost count of the nights they've woken up soaked in shame, or the afternoons they've avoided long drives because they're afraid they won't find a bathroom in time. Some even stop going out with friends because of the fear of an accident. And yet, almost all of them have been told the same comforting lie: it's part of getting older. But as a urologist who studied men's health for over 3 decades, I can tell you with complete certainty, urine leakage is not a natural part of aging. It's a symptom. It's your body's cry for help. The real cause is not just the prostate getting larger, but the delicate balance between your bladder and prostate being disrupted. Picture your bladder as a balloon and your prostate as the small ring at its exit. As the prostate grows, it presses against that opening, forcing the bladder to work harder to push urine through. Over time, that muscle becomes tense, overactive, and hypersensitive. Now, here's where the problem deepens. Certain foods and drinks you consume every single day act like irritants to that sensitive bladder wall. They inflame the tissue, make the bladder twitch, and trigger sudden, uncontrollable urges to urinate. It's like having an itch you can't stop scratching. Every sip of coffee, every glass of soda, every acidic fruit adds fuel to the fire, keeping your bladder restless and your nights sleepless. I still remember a patient named George, a proud retired police officer, 68 years old. He came to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Doctor, I used to chase criminals for miles, but now I can't even sit through a movie without running to the restroom." When we looked closer, his test results were fine. His prostate wasn't dangerously enlarged, but his diet was loaded with the very foods that irritate the bladder. After just 3 weeks of removing those triggers, he called to say, "For the first time in years, I slept through the night." That's the power of understanding what's really going on. So, if you've been told that leaking urine is something you must accept, don't. You can take back control. You can calm your bladder, reduce the pressure, and sleep soundly again. The first step is awareness, and the second is action. Because the foods you choose can either soothe your prostate or silently destroy it. And in the next part, I'm going to reveal the #1 everyday habit that's quietly irritating your bladder, overworking your prostate, and making those nighttime bathroom trips even worse. Something most men drink every single morning without a second thought. 2. The first offender: caffeine. For most men, the day doesn't begin until that first sip of coffee touches their lips. It's warm, comforting, and familiar, almost sacred. But here's what I've learned after 3 decades in urology. For men over 50, that daily cup might be doing more harm than good. Caffeine, found in coffee, black tea, sodas, and energy drinks, is one of the most powerful bladder irritants we know. And for many of my patients, it's the silent reason behind years of restless nights and embarrassing leaks. When I talk to my patients, I can see the disbelief in their eyes when I tell them coffee could be the culprit. They say, "Doctor, I've been drinking coffee my whole life. How could it suddenly become a problem now?" The truth is, your body changes with age. After 50, your prostate begins to enlarge and your bladder becomes more sensitive. Caffeine doesn't just wake up your mind, it wakes up your bladder too, forcing it to contract before it's ready. That's why you feel that sudden, desperate urge to go, even when your bladder isn't full. Let me share a story. A few months ago, a patient named Richard, a retired architect of 66, sat across from me, shoulders slumped. He looked embarrassed when he said, "Doc, I can't get through the night anymore. I wake up 4 or 5 times. Sometimes I don't even make it to the bathroom." He was exhausted. Not from age, but from losing his dignity. When I asked about his habits, he admitted to drinking 3 espressos before noon and a Diet Cola with dinner. I asked him to give up caffeine completely for just 2 weeks. He hesitated, but he agreed. When he returned, his face said it all. He told me, "I only wake up once a night now, sometimes not at all." I didn't think it was possible that simple change, removing caffeine, gave him back his sleep, his energy, and his confidence. I see this transformation so often that it's almost predictable. Once caffeine is out of the picture, the bladder calms down, the urgency fades, and the nights become quiet again. If you think switching to decaf is pointless, think again. Decaffeinated coffee or herbal teas like chamomile, mint, or rooibos can give you that soothing ritual without punishing your bladder. It's not about giving up your morning pleasure. It's about choosing a version that gives you peace instead of pain. And if you still crave the taste of coffee, start by cutting it in half, then gradually move to caffeine-free. Remember, caffeine doesn't just make you urinate more. It keeps your bladder in a constant state of nervous tension. Imagine a muscle that never relaxes. Eventually, it grows weak and unreliable. That's what's happening inside your body. But once you give your bladder rest, it starts to heal, regain strength, and work in harmony again. So before you pour that next cup, ask yourself, is this momentary boost of energy worth another sleepless night? Because the real power doesn't come from caffeine. It comes from control. And speaking of control, the next irritant we'll talk about might surprise you even more. It's not coffee and it's not alcohol. It's something most men consider harmless, even healthy, yet it creates constant pressure on your bladder every single day. 3. The second offender: carbonated drinks. When most men think about what's irritating their bladder, they usually blame coffee or alcohol. Very few ever suspect something as innocent as sparkling water or soda. But I can tell you from experience, those tiny bubbles you love so much can quietly rob you of your bladder control. Carbonated drinks are a hidden irritant that almost no one talks about, yet they play a massive role in why so many men over 50 struggle with constant urges, leakage, and restless nights. Let me explain what happens inside your body. The fizz in your favorite drink is carbon dioxide gas. When you drink it, that gas expands inside your stomach, creating bloating and pressure. And that pressure pushes down directly on your bladder. Imagine your bladder as a soft balloon sitting beneath your abdomen. Every time your belly fills with gas, it's like pressing a hand against that balloon. It squeezes even when it isn't full, sending false signals to your brain that it's time to go. The result is frustration, interrupted sleep, and those unpredictable leaks that make you feel older than you are. I remember one of my patients, Carlos, a 58-year-old engineer who came to me with a mix of embarrassment and confusion. He didn't drink coffee or alcohol, exercise daily, and thought he was doing everything right. Yet, he still leaked a few drops when he stood up too quickly or walked briskly. When I asked about his beverages, he smiled and said proudly, "Just soda, doctor." I gave up everything else he didn't realize that his 3 liters of Diet Cola a day were the real problem. I asked him to stop all carbonated drinks for just 1 month. No soda, no sparkling water, no bubbly energy drinks. When he came back, his improvement was remarkable. "Doctor," he said, "for the first time in years, I didn't have to wear a pad when I left the house." His confidence returned, and with it, his freedom. It wasn't magic. It was simple science and self-awareness. The carbon dioxide, combined with the acids in those drinks, irritates the delicate lining of your bladder. It's a double assault: pressure from the gas and inflammation from the chemicals. And it happens quietly, day after day, until your bladder becomes jumpy, overreactive, and exhausted. If you think sparkling water is a safer choice, I understand why. It seems clean, refreshing, and harmless. But even without sugar or caffeine, the bubbles alone can trigger irritation for sensitive bladders. The simplest solution? Go back to still water. Add slices of cucumber or a touch of melon if you miss the flavor. These not only calm your system, but also help balance your body's pH, soothing your bladder instead of inflaming it. I know how comforting that familiar fizz can be. It's part of many men's daily rituals. But you have to ask yourself, is that momentary satisfaction worth the constant pressure, the sleepless nights, and the loss of control? When you give up the bubbles, you give your bladder the space to heal, and what comes next is peace. And if you thought soda was the last hidden culprit, wait until you hear about the next irritant, because the very foods most men think are healthy, the ones we grew up believing keep us strong, might actually be turning your urine acidic and your bladder inflamed. This next part may surprise you. 4. The third offender: acidic fruits and tomatoes. Now, this one often shocks people. When I tell my patients that citrus fruits and tomatoes might be making their bladder problems worse, I can almost see the disbelief on their faces. They look at me and say, "But doctor, I thought fruits and vegetables were supposed to be healthy." And they are, for most people. But for a man over 50 with an enlarged prostate or an irritable bladder, foods that are highly acidic can quietly turn every trip to the bathroom into a battle. Here's what really happens. Your bladder is lined with a thin, sensitive layer of tissue that protects it from the waste your body eliminates. When you eat a lot of acidic foods, oranges, lemons, grapefruits, or even tomatoes, that acid filters through your kidneys and ends up in your urine. The more acidic your urine becomes, the more it burns and irritates the inner wall of your bladder. It's like pouring lemon juice on a small cut. It stings, it inflames, and it makes your bladder overreact. You feel the urge to urinate constantly, even when it's barely half full. And if your prostate is already pressing on your bladder, the combination is misery. One of my patients, Miguel, a 73-year-old retired farmer, taught me a lesson I'll never forget. He came into my office one afternoon, exhausted and frustrated. "Doctor," he said, "I eat clean. I grow my own food, fresh tomatoes, oranges, grapefruit. I don't understand why I'm still waking up 6 times a night." His eyes were heavy from sleeplessness, but there was pride in his voice when he talked about his garden. He had spent decades caring for his land, never imagining that the fruits of his labor were part of the problem. When I asked him to avoid citrus and tomatoes for just 2 weeks, he looked at me like I'd lost my mind, but he agreed. 2 weeks later, he came back smiling. "I thought you were crazy," he said, "but now I only get up twice a night. I can finally sleep." That simple change, removing acidic foods, gave him back his peace. And that's what I want for every man watching this. It's not about avoiding healthy food forever, it's about understanding what your body can handle now. As we age, our bladder loses some of its tolerance. Foods that once helped us stay healthy can now cause irritation and inflammation. If you're struggling with constant urges, burning sensations, or nighttime awakenings, look closely at what's on your plate. Try swapping oranges for melons or pears. Replace tomato-based sauces with roasted red peppers or zucchini. Even small changes can make a world of difference. Your bladder needs calm, not chaos. I know it can be hard to give up what you love. We're creatures of habit, and food is comfort. But remember, comfort food should make you feel good, not keep you running to the bathroom. Once you start removing these acidic irritants, your bladder begins to heal, your nights become peaceful again, and your energy returns. And just when you think you've identified all the culprits, there's another one that many men hold closest to their hearts. It's tied to social gatherings, relaxation, and celebration. Yet it's also one of the biggest enemies of your bladder and prostate health. Let's talk about that next. 5. The fourth offender. Alcohol, especially beer. This one is tough for many men to hear. After all, for decades, sharing a cold beer with friends has been part of our culture. A symbol of relaxation, laughter, and connection. But as a urologist who has spent over 30 years caring for men's health, I can tell you with absolute certainty, alcohol, and beer in particular, is one of the most powerful enemies of your bladder and prostate. It quietly strips away your control, night after night, until you begin to feel trapped by your own body. Here's what happens when you drink. Alcohol is a diuretic. It makes your kidneys produce urine much faster than normal. Your bladder fills up quickly, often before it's ready to handle the pressure, but that's only the first blow. The second, more damaging effect is that alcohol dulls your nervous system. It relaxes the brain's communication with your bladder, so you lose the ability to sense when it's full. Even worse, it relaxes your sphincter, the tiny muscle that keeps urine from leaking out. That's why so many men wake up wet, embarrassed, or rushing to the bathroom after a night of drinking. Beer, in particular, is a double-edged sword. Not only does it contain alcohol, but it also adds a large volume of liquid and carbonation, both of which put extra pressure on your bladder. Think about it. When you drink 2 or 3 beers in an evening, your bladder is being flooded with fluid, gas, and alcohol all at once. The result is predictable. You'll be up several times during the night, half asleep, frustrated, and exhausted the next morning. I once treated a patient named Roberto, a 60-year-old man who told me with a heavy sigh, "Doctor, I can't even enjoy a night out anymore. I have to plan my seat near the restroom." He wasn't an alcoholic. He just loved his weekend beers with his friends. It was his ritual, his way to unwind. But that ritual was quietly robbing him of sleep, energy, and dignity. When I asked him to cut out beer for 1 month, he laughed. "You're asking me to give up my social life," he said, but he tried. A few weeks later, he walked back into my office with a big smile. "You know what, doctor? I didn't wake up once last night. I feel human again." The truth is, you don't have to quit alcohol forever, but you do have to understand your limits. If you must drink, do it early in the evening, with food in your stomach and in small amounts. Avoid beer, and choose a lighter option like a small glass of red wine instead. But the best gift you can give your body, your bladder, and your nights is a period of complete abstinence. Nothing restores control and sleep faster. I know it's hard to change habits that carry memories and meaning, but freedom, real freedom, is being able to laugh, move, and sleep without fear. And that begins when you take back control of what you put in your body. But before you think the list ends here, there's one more hidden threat, one that disguises itself as healthy or sugar-free. It's sneaky, it's in your favorite snacks and drinks, and it silently inflames your bladder every single day. And once you know what it is, you'll never look at your diet the same way again. 6th, the fifth offender, artificial sweeteners and spicy foods. This one often catches men completely off guard. Most of my patients look at me with confusion when I tell them that sugar-free drinks or a spicy dinner could be the reason they're running to the bathroom so often. But doctor, they say, I thought I was making healthy choices. And in a way they are, but not for a sensitive bladder. Artificial sweeteners and spicy foods might seem harmless, but for a man over 50, they can silently inflame the bladder wall, disrupt the nervous system that controls urination, and create that sudden, humiliating urge that's impossible to ignore. Let's start with artificial sweeteners. They were designed to help people cut calories and control blood sugar, but what most men don't realize is that these chemicals, things like aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose, are not easily processed by the body. When they reach your bladder, they act like irritants, almost as if you poured cleaning chemicals on sensitive skin. The result? The bladder lining becomes inflamed, overstimulated, and hypersensitive. Even a small amount of urine can trigger the signal to go now, and that's when leaks happen. I had a patient named Harold, a retired accountant, 67 years old, who came to me because he couldn't understand why he was leaking even though he had stopped drinking coffee and alcohol. He proudly said, "I switched to diet sodas, doctor. I thought I was doing the right thing." I looked at him gently and said, "Harold, that might be exactly what's keeping you from getting better." I asked him to cut all diet products, sodas, sugar-free gum, artificial sweeteners, for 3 weeks. When he came back, his face lit up. "I can't believe it," he said. "I'm sleeping through the night for the first time in years." That's the power of removing hidden irritants. Your body finally has a chance to calm down and heal. And then there's spicy food, the other silent enemy. The same compound that gives chili peppers their heat, called capsaicin, is a direct irritant to your bladder. When your body processes spicy food, traces of that compound end up in your urine, and as it passes through, it inflames the bladder lining. You may not feel it immediately, but that constant burning and irritation make your bladder more jumpy, more reactive. Over time, it stops waiting until it's full. It just empties whenever it feels even slightly pressured. I understand that food brings joy and comfort, especially for men who've spent their lives working hard, raising families, and finding pleasure in simple things like a flavorful meal. So instead of eliminating flavor, I tell my patients to shift it. Replace hot spices with calming herbs, parsley, cilantro, rosemary, or basil. Use honey or pure stevia instead of chemical sweeteners. The goal isn't restriction, it's restoration. You're not giving something up. You're giving something back to yourself. Your peace, your confidence, your sleep. These small, intentional choices are what separate men who feel trapped by their age from those who feel in control of their bodies again. And once you've removed these irritants, something incredible begins to happen. Your bladder starts to settle, your prostate relaxes, and your energy returns. But before we close, there's one final key that ties everything together, something even more important than what you stop eating. It's a mindset, a daily discipline that determines whether your bladder heals or stays stuck in the same painful cycle. Let's talk about that next. 7. The sixth offender, the mindset that keeps you trapped. Now that you know the physical irritants, there's one more culprit. And it's not something you eat or drink, it's something far more powerful, your mindset. Over the years, I've seen hundreds of men who came to me believing that losing control of their bladder was just part of getting older. They accepted it, endured it, and learned to hide it. But here's the truth. That belief, that quiet surrender, is the very thing keeping them trapped. Because once you believe your body can't change, you stop giving it the chance to heal. I remember a patient named George, 72 years old, who came into my office with a look I'll never forget, a mix of shame and resignation. He said, "Doc, I guess this is just how it goes. My father had the same problem. I'm just following the same path," but I looked him straight in the eye and said, "George, you're not your father. And your bladder isn't broken, it's just overwhelmed." That moment changed something in him. He decided to try, to make the small, consistent changes we talked about: less caffeine, no beer, less spice, and more patience with himself. A month later, he came back standing taller. He told me, "You know what, doctor? I'm back to sleeping through the night. I didn't think I could do it, but I did." That's the power of shifting your mindset. From hopelessness to responsibility. When you start believing that your habits matter, your body listens. When you start treating your bladder not as your enemy but as an organ asking for care, healing begins. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. Every small step, every glass of still water instead of soda, every caffeine-free morning, every skipped beer, is a message to your body that you're choosing control over chaos. I always tell my patients, your bladder doesn't need a miracle. It needs consistency. It needs you to show up every day with small decisions that add up to freedom. Because control, real control, is built one choice at a time, and it's never too late to start. I've seen men in their 70s regain confidence, sleep peacefully, and live without fear of embarrassment simply because they decided to take back ownership of their health. So if you're watching this and you've been silently suffering, tired of waking up at night, tired of feeling ashamed, tired of planning your life around bathrooms, I want you to remember this. Your age doesn't define your destiny. Your choices do. You are not too old to change. You are not too late to heal. And every day you choose to believe that, your body responds. And now that you understand both the physical and mental triggers that keep your bladder irritated and your nights restless, I want to take you one step further. Into the solution that helps men not just stop the irritation but rebuild their confidence, restore prostate health, and feel like themselves again. What I'll share next could be the single most important habit every man over 50 needs to reclaim control, naturally, safely, and for good. 8. The seventh offender, ignoring the power of healing habits. Many men think that bladder control and prostate comfort depend only on what they stop eating or drinking. And while removing irritants is essential, what truly determines whether your body heals is what you replace those habits with. I've seen too many men eliminate coffee, beer, and soda, only to stop there. They expect change just from cutting things out. But real healing begins when you nourish your body with habits that rebuild balance, calm inflammation, and restore strength from within. Ignoring this step is one of the biggest mistakes men make after 50. You see, your bladder and prostate don't just need relief, they need renewal. They thrive when your daily routine supports circulation, hydration, and hormone balance. Simple actions like drinking enough plain water, walking every day, stretching your hips and lower back, or eating foods rich in antioxidants can do more for your urinary control than any pill. I've watched men who once woke up 6 times a night regain peaceful sleep just by walking 20 minutes each morning and replacing their sugary drinks with water infused with cucumber or lemon peel. It sounds simple, but simple works when done consistently. Let me tell you about Peter, a 64-year-old man who came to me tired and defeated. He had given up caffeine and alcohol, but he still felt that constant urge, that pressure he couldn't escape. I asked him, "What have you added to your day that helps your body heal?" He looked puzzled. "I thought just avoiding bad foods was enough," he said. I smiled gently and told him, "Avoiding harm isn't the same as creating health." So, we built a new routine: morning walks, evening stretches, more vegetables, less red meat, and deep breathing to calm the nerves that connect the bladder and brain. 3 weeks later, he walked into my office with a lightness I hadn't seen before. "Doctor," he said, "I finally slept 7 hours straight. I feel alive again." What most men don't realize is that the bladder isn't just a storage organ. It's a mirror of your overall balance. When you're stressed, dehydrated, or inactive, your body reacts through tension and inflammation. When you restore calm and movement, everything, including your prostate, starts working better. The healing process isn't about deprivation, it's about reconnection. Every small habit that calms your nervous system and improves blood flow gives your bladder the signal that it's safe again. So, if you've already taken steps to remove the irritants we talked about, caffeine, carbonation, acid, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and spice, now is the time to go further. Replace them with healing routines. Choose water over soda. Stretch instead of sitting all day. Eat foods that nourish rather than inflame. Don't just avoid, rebuild. Because health isn't a list of restrictions. It's the result of rituals that support you every single day. And here's the exciting part. When your body begins to heal, it doesn't just stop the urgency or the leaking. Something far more powerful happens. Your confidence returns, your energy rises, and your manhood feels renewed. In the next section, I'll show you how these small daily habits, when done right, can even help you strengthen your prostate, improve circulation, and restore vitality in ways most men never think possible. 9. The eighth offender. Waiting too long to take action. This, in my experience, is the most dangerous mistake of all. Too many men wait until their symptoms become unbearable, until the sleepless nights, the sudden leaks, and the constant urgency have already taken control of their lives. They convince themselves it's just part of getting older, that it's not serious, or that it will somehow get better on its own. But what I've learned after decades of helping men over 50 is that waiting never heals. It only makes the problem harder to reverse. Every day you delay, your bladder grows more sensitive, your prostate becomes more inflamed, and your confidence slips a little further away. I've seen this story play out countless times. A man walks into my office with quiet embarrassment, explaining how his nightly bathroom trips have gone from 2 to 5, how he's begun wearing pads just in case, or how he plans his outings around the nearest restroom. When I ask how long it's been happening, he sighs and says, "Oh, a few years." A few years. That phrase always makes my heart ache because every year of waiting is a year of unnecessary suffering. You don't need to live that way, not when the solutions are simple, natural, and within your control. I once treated a man named Thomas, a 68-year-old former firefighter, tough as nails, but tired. He told me he hadn't slept through the night in over a decade. "I figured it was just the price of getting old," he said. His wife convinced him to see me after she noticed he had stopped going out with friends and started isolating himself. When we ran his tests, his prostate was enlarged but manageable. His biggest issue wasn't physical, it was mindset and delay. We adjusted his habits, removed the irritants we've discussed, and added hydration, gentle exercise, and relaxation breathing. Within a month, his transformation was remarkable. He told me, "I wish I had come to you years ago. I didn't realize how much of my life I was giving away to this problem." That's what I want every man to understand. Ignoring the signs doesn't make you strong. Taking action does. The men who regain control aren't the ones who never had problems. They're the ones who decided they were done living with them. When you act early, your bladder can heal faster, your prostate can calm down, and your nights can finally be restful again. The longer you wait, the more your body adapts to dysfunction, and the harder it becomes to restore balance. So, if you've been noticing changes, a weaker stream, frequent urges, trouble sleeping, or small leaks when you laugh or cough, don't ignore them. Don't let embarrassment or pride keep you from reclaiming your health. Your body is speaking to you. It's asking for care before it reaches a point of no return. Because here's the truth. It's never too early to start, but it can become too late to reverse. The men who choose action now are the ones who enjoy their freedom, their confidence, and their dignity for decades to come. And if you're wondering what simple, daily step you can start with, the one that truly resets your prostate and bladder health from the inside out, stay with me. In the conclusion, I'll share the one natural ritual I recommend to every man over 50 who wants to stop the leaks, sleep peacefully, and finally feel in control again. 10. Conclusion. Taking back control, one choice at a time. At this point, you've seen the full picture. You now understand that bladder leaks, sleepless nights, and the constant urge to urinate after 50 are not punishments of aging. They're messages from your body asking for change. We've uncovered the hidden irritants that quietly inflame your bladder and prostate. Caffeine, carbonated drinks, acidic foods, alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and spicy meals. You've seen how even the smallest habits, that afternoon coffee, that diet soda, that weekend beer, can slowly steal your freedom without you realizing it. And more importantly, you've learned that healing begins not with medicine, but with awareness, consistency, and compassion toward your body. I've spent over 3 decades helping men reclaim their strength, and I've seen it happen again and again. When a man decides to act, to swap caffeine for herbal tea, to trade beer for water, to replace pain with patience, everything changes. His nights become quiet, his mornings full of energy, and his confidence returns. It's not about perfection, it's about small, daily victories that remind you that your body still listens, still heals, and still wants to serve you well. So, if you're watching this and you've felt frustrated or hopeless, remember this: you are not broken. You are simply out of balance. And balance can always be restored. Start today. Remove one irritant, add one healing habit, and watch your body respond. Because every step you take toward better prostate and bladder health is a step toward freedom, dignity, and peace of mind. And if you'd like to go even deeper, stay tuned. I'm going to share the one nightly habit I recommend to every man over 50 to keep the prostate healthy, reduce inflammation, and finally sleep through the night without interruptions.